You ever heard somebody talk about Krupnik and wonder what the heck is that? Stick around because we're about to dive into the world of Krupnik today. Hi, I'm Tim from Elma Wine and Liquor. Today we are going to cover the subject of Krupnik, what it is, where it came from, and how it's being made and used today. Stick around, but before we dive in, please take a second to hit that subscribe and like button so that you can be up to date whenever we drop new videos like this one. So Krupnik is a centuries-old liqueur that was started by the Benedictine monks in the Lithuanian Polish area of Europe, where they took a base spirit, typically vodka, but sometimes just grain alcohol, and infused it with primarily honey, but then also some kind of blend of different proprietary spices, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and occasionally more savory herbs like rosemary or sage, and those types of things. It was, at the time, a very heavily guarded secret of what they were putting into this concoction. It was enjoyed by people all over that region of Eastern Europe, particularly at celebrations and feasts, and it was just a regularly consumed thing, especially at those big events. That's why today we still see it, especially in our Buffalo area, as a big drink of choice on Dingus Day, which is the Monday after Easter, celebrated especially by the Polish community. So around the 17th century, the monks started sharing the recipe with some of the Polish nobility so that they could make their own, and people began to evolve the different recipes. They came out with different variations of what they liked best, mixing in the different spices, different herbs to make that concoction. But one thing that stayed consistent was that sweetness of the honey. And who knows, maybe it could have started because at the time the traditional vodkas and grain alcohols were just a little bit too harsh. Honey was an easy way to soften it up and sweeten it up and make it more palatable. Over time, as I said, different families started making different recipes. Some of those involved other fruits as well, pears and apples. So it became a very diverse category. Krupnik today, especially in the United States, especially amongst the Polish community, this is kind of the golden standard of what we see going off the shelves in our particular store. We've had some other Polish Krupniks, we've had some other Eastern European Krupniks. They've never done quite as well as the original Krupnik, as this one is called. We also have some locally made Krupniks as well from Buffalo that I'll dive into in a second. But how do you drink Krupnik? What do people do with it? You can drink it kind of any way you want, really. There's no set way to drink it. Some people sip it neat, some people shoot it neat, some people drink it on the rocks, some people warm it up slightly. You don't want to overheat it because then the alcohol will burn off, but you can warm it up slightly. It makes it a nice winter, kind of a wintry drink. You can also add it to hot tea, you can add it to cold tea. You can kind of add it to anything you want that honey will add a little bit of a flavor that you think is good. So hot tea is a very common one, especially in people that use it as a traditional medicine. So a lot of, going back centuries, people thought that it had healing properties. They'd put it in their tea or drink it when they were sick. They thought it would alleviate symptoms of colds and coughs and other illnesses, and people still do that today. We have lots of customers that come in for their Krupnik when they're starting to get sick, mix it in with their tea, kind of like the Irish version of a hot toddy, which is Irish whiskey and tea. This is the Polish version of that natural home remedy for illnesses. So different ways to drink it, as I said. Today it's becoming a popular mixer for mixologists. And we have our local company, Buffalo Distilling Company, which has created their own version of Krupnik, which you can see is a little bit lighter in color. And they put in a little bit more citrus and vanilla into theirs as well. Or sorry, just more citrus. Mixes it up a little bit, makes it a little bit lighter, a little bit different flavor profile than the traditional Polish one. And then they also make a barrel-aged Krupnik. So they take their Krupnik and they put it in oak barrels for 18 months. This one tends to get that more, a little bit more vanilla to it because of that oak aging. Different complexity. You can see it's a lot darker in color than the one without the barrel aging. And then we also have a honey liqueur from another local distillery here in Buffalo, Barn Dog Distilling, which they make their honey liqueur. They don't necessarily call it a Krupnik, but it is a very similar concept with that honey infused base alcohol with some different herbs and spices. These distilleries at their bars and other bars around the country, and particularly in the Lithuania, Poland areas now, a lot of the bartenders are coming up with creative ways to make unique cocktails that incorporate this very traditional, very old honey liqueur that we call Krupnik.
I'll add it in before the closeout. Yeah.
One important note of distinction is mead. Krupnik is not mead. So it is also honey. Mead you may be familiar with from a lot of Norse mythology, Viking type stuff talks about mead, or just European in general. Mead is not distilled. So remember, Krupnik is honey being added to a vodka or a grain alcohol, a distilled product. Mead is a honey wine as a base. So it's usually a honey that it gets fermented into a wine instead of being distilled. You could take that fermentation and then distill it, but that would not be Krupnik and it would not be mead anymore. So mead is a honey wine, still have that honey sweetness to it, but a little bit different than a Krupnik that we're talking about here today. So if you have the chance and you have not tried a Krupnik, definitely worth a shot, especially if you like honey. That honey sweetness comes across right away with the traditional one, and really any of the other ones. You're just looking at different flavor profiles for the other variations out there. So hope this helped you gain an understanding of what is Krupnik. Look forward to your comments and questions below. And before you get out of here, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and the like button and tag a friend that you want to go drink Krupnik with. Cheers.